I wasn't a part of this project, but they did ship this thing called Sunlight. And I just think it relates to the thing that we're talking about, where it basically it says use an LLM to debias your content. And
Can you
like
put in one of my articles?
Yeah.
I'd be curious.
Which one?
But just if you go to every.to.
Yeah.
And then scroll down to see where it says chain of thought. Just click the chain of thought icon.
Oh, yeah.
And then click newest. And let's see. Keep going. The knowledge economy is over. That's the one I cited in our in the intro of this episode. So I'm curious what the bias is.
Well, what's funny, so obviously this is such a human thing, by the way.
Yeah.
I also, the first thing I looked up was one of my own articles, or like the same way people look themselves up on the internet. And it was funny because it was my most shared article. It was the How to Be Great article. And it was nice about it, but it was accurate too. It like ripped me apart. It was like, this is like, it's just a lot of like, you know, tropes or like things that are like maybe like not super well researched, or like not, there's like maybe some simplicity here is I guess what it was saying. And I was like, yep, that's
guilty.
It's true.
Well, let's see what it does to me. I'm sweating a little bit here now that I know it's not very nice.
Well, no. It does it in a very nice way, but I was just kind of like, it definitely surfaced, I think, some accuracy about, you know, how it could be interpreted.
Okay. So it's given us some factual claims. The author, Dan Schipper, has started using AI tool ChatGPT for summarizing tasks, freeing up his intelligence for directing or editing the summarizing. The author predicts that handing off summarizing to AI will become widespread in the future, impacting the economy. Okay, so like, yeah, it's getting right.
Okay, so it has factual claims, and then I'll scroll down. There is an analysis, which this part is about. I guess so. It says techno optimistic, and so I think different articles would get different flags.
True. Like guilty.
But see, it's like, you see these things and you're like, yeah.
Okay, so it says the article, "The Knowledge Economy is Over. Welcome to the Allocation Economy," presents a speculative view of the future of work in the age of AI. The author's bias is evident in his optimistic view of AI's role in the future economy, which he refers to as the allocation economy. He suggests that AI will take over tasks such as summarizing, and humans will transition from being makers to managers, allocating tasks to models. Okay, the author further reveals his bias in his assertion that AI is an abstraction layer over lower level thinking. This is an oversimplification, does not take into account the complexities and limitations of AI. It also dismisses the value of human intelligence and creativity in problem solving. It's filled with speculative statements.
This is what I was referring to. I got something similar where it was like, yeah, basically like she did not, like, you know.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I feel bad officially.
So I would say, like, for the kind of content that we write, yeah, obviously there might be some bias, and like maybe it's, you know, there are certain statements that aren't necessarily backed by like a scientific study or something like that. But what I think this is more helpful for are things that are like truly biased, whether it's like along the political spectrum or just, I mean, something that if someone happens to chase certain content of a certain style, this could help them recognize that it's like quite extreme in one direction versus I haven't read this article in depth, but like I don't think it's extreme in that way. The question though is just whether anyone would ever actually change their habits based on this, or even think to use something like this if they're that far down a bias. That
makes it's a good question. There's so much incentive to like be more biased, you know?
Yeah.
I had a friend who worked on this thing that it was based on this study that if you're a conservative and you read something in like Fox News that is liberal leaning, you're more likely to like believe it. Same thing for like if you're liberal and you read it in the New York Times or whatever. And so he built this Chrome extension that would basically, if you were a conservative, it would feed you liberal stories from Fox News, and if you're liberal, it would feed you conservative stories from the New York Times to like try to reduce polarity. It was pretty cool, and it got some traction, but like it's always gonna be a niche thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's a really clever way to do it. I think the other ways I've heard people do it is like, let me just like show all of the different sides in one place, and I think that version definitely does not work because we do gravitate towards certain, you could say, like other humans that we resonate with.
Right.
And I think that's a clever way to do it. The question is just like, I think our brains are so like hardwired to seek out certain things, even with the nuance of like, even though this is from Fox News, let's say, if someone is like quite far in one direction, they will even sniff that out, I think. Like, I think they would be like, oh, this article is like not the kind I actually like.
Yeah.
And same in the other direction.
It's a hard problem to solve. Okay, so that was disturbing.
What's funny is it's kind of like when people Google themselves and they're like, "Oh, I'm not here." Like, there are other more important Steph Smiths, or like.